Hello English 100. This video is about Essay 3, and my goal in this video is to look at one spot in between the world and me and to give you a little food for thought for revising your essay, some sort of inspiration or something for you to chew on while you work on your paper. So you might pause your video and get out your books. So here's my copy of Educated. And I'm going to focus a little more on Between the World and Me. And so here's my copy of Between the World and Me. And I am on page 36 and 37. So you might open up those pages and remember what you've got there. I'm going to show you those pages on the screen. So that's Between the World and Me, pages 36 and 37 for this video. Okay, so before we dig into the book, just a quick note about the essay questions. In revising the essay, you want to go back to your essay question over and over and over again and not lose sight of it. I think most people are doing topic 1. A few people are doing topic 2. And the spot in the book we're going to look at in Coates definitely relates to both topics because in a way these two topics are the same, just a little different angle. So looking at essay question 1, I want to start by reminding you that you can divide this essay question into 2 parts. I'm going to color code them. So I'm going to make that spot blue. So that's the first half of the essay question. What is the nature and purpose of education and learning for Coates, for Westover, and for you? What is the experience of learning, of becoming educated, and what are the main purposes of education? What is it for? And then the second half of the essay question, how does a person's background, the people and place a person comes from, impact the sort of education that person needs or wants? Examine Coates' background, Westover's background, and yours. So you can see you have so much to do in this essay. It'll probably be just as long as essay 2 by the time you're done. All right, now, so keeping in mind, especially this first part of the essay question, what is the nature and purpose of education and learning? I'm going to now go to the book. Okay, so this is Between the World and Me, page 36. And we're going to go down to the bottom. You can see I did a scan with my underlining in it. And we have this little bit at the bottom of the page about Malcolm X. So, speaking of Malcolm X, Coates writes, he had found himself while studying in prison, and that when he emerged from the jails, he returned wielding some power that made him speak as though his body were his own. So let's briefly go back to our essay question, because you're going to go back to it over and over. What is the nature and purpose of education and learning for Coates, for Westover, and for you? Okay. So here, Coates has an idea. So he's talking about Malcolm X, but he's really telling us what he thinks learning is for. So Malcolm X had found himself studying in prison. He apparently read like all day while he was in prison. And it made him speak as though his body were his own. So I'm thinking, well, what is the purpose of learning and education? So that you can speak as though your body were your own. Right? This connects with Coates' thesis for the whole book. Because remember, his big theme is that because of racism, if you're black, your body is targeted. And you're not fully free. So for Coates, What is the nature and purpose of education and learning? It seems like the purpose is to speak as though your body were your own. So I could imagine a paragraph in my essay about just this spot. Let's go on a little further. If you're black, you were born in jail, Malcolm said. Now we're on page 37. And I felt the truth of this in the blocks I had to avoid. In the times of day when I must not be caught walking home from school. In my lack of control over my body. Perhaps I too might live free. Perhaps I too might wield the same old power that animated the ancestors that lived in Nat Turner, Harriet Tubman, Nanny, Cujo, Malcolm X, and speak, no, act, as though my body were my own. My reclamation would be accomplished, like Malcolm's, through books. My reclamation. So he wants to reclaim himself in some way. And it seems like the purpose of education and learning is for him to reclaim his body. So that I too might live free, Coates writes. So this is an interesting spot that you might consider for your essay. And of course, you're writing about both books, so here's my copy of Educated. And this reminds me of Tara Westover in a way. Because Westover also kind of wants to liberate herself through her education, right? She wants to free herself from having to obey dad. She wants to free herself from sexism, the patriarchy of her family. And she wants to use education to kind of live free. So there's some parallel here, even though we know that Westover's childhood is so different. But it seems like both authors want to use learning to liberate themselves, to really be autonomous or independent or something like that. Okay, so that's your food for thought for this video, and I hope you get something that you might be able to use in thinking about your own work on Essay 3.